Hello. Okay, so today I'm going to be doing another story time because my last story time, where I talked about the guy in my English class that was doing OnlyFans, who I kind of had a crush on, was well received. I'll be doing another one. And if you haven't seen that, go check it out. Because it might be incoherent at times, but I liked it. So I was in sixth grade when this incident occurred. I was on my way to lunch, going to the lunchroom from my locker, and there was this huge crowd of people, and so I, in order to just avoid them, because I have big social anxiety, still do, not as bad, but I avoided that by instead of going all the way around, I decided to just cut the corner because there was like a little bit of space. And in doing so, before I could go around the corner, I was hit. Someone ran into me, and I fell back, and I thought I hit the back of my head, but the scar is near the front. For some reason, I still don't know exactly how it happened. I guess the point of impact was near the front. But I was immediately on the floor, no clue what just happened. So I get up, and there's someone watching me. I'm being crazy. I get up, my ears are ringing, vision's kind of fuzzy, but it's like, oh, it's fine, because I'm just like, what happened? I walk into the open area where the group was, like the huge group was, and like people are passing by and stuff, and like people start like screaming, like, oh my god, like gasping, all that stuff. And my one classmate, Ivana, if you're watching this, hi, I don't know where you are, but she was like, Marcus, you're bleeding. And I'm like, what? What? Um, it didn't register, obviously, because I guess I didn't hear that because I had to find out later, soon later. And like everyone was like treating me like I was some monster or something, which that really hurt at the time, and like in retrospect, like right after, I was like, damn. But it's fine and just now. Sixth graders are immature. The crowd went wild. But no, everyone's screaming and and they were concerned, but nobody offered to help me. But then I had one friend who was from my homeroom, Jose. He ran up from out of the crowd and was like, "I'm gonna get you to the nurse's office." Thank God, God bless his soul. So he helps me down the stairs, to the nurse's office. It's a pretty quick run, to be honest. Um, and so we get to the nurse's office. They take me in. They're like, yeah, here's an ice pack. We all know how that goes. But I went into the bathroom, and to my unfortunate dismay, I realized that there was blood like dripping down my face. It was pretty freaking obvious. And I was like freaking out because what the thought of just like going into the ER like right then and there, like that day, was just very alarming to me because I had never done that before. Um yeah, it was not a fun thing. Anxiety was anxietying. So I talked to the nurse. I was like, "Do I have to go to the ER? Like, I don't want to go to the hospital." And she's like, "Yeah, sorry. You're That's kind of like the only way." So they called my mom. She came to pick me up like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know. I lived pretty close to the middle school. So, um, yeah, that was not. So, like halfway on the ride to the hospital, my ice pack started to like almost not exist anymore because it was melting, and like it was hard to like keep it together because like fuzzy. It was just getting all. My mind was fogged, and it was hard to focus. Um, Got to the ER. I vividly remember like walking into the waiting room and be like, none of these people like need help. Like, well, okay. None of these people are having an emergency. I'm literally bleeding out of my head. These people can wait because it's probably his stomach. Looking back in retrospect, those were like my expectations of like as a child of like how hospitals work. Like, I'm not gonna go in immediately, obviously, and those people definitely were there for a reason, obviously. Um, just no one had like a chainsaw accident where they chopped off a limb. Um, I was admitted to the hospital room like 10, 15 minutes. I don't remember. It wasn't that long compared to horror stories I've heard from being in the ER and waiting. But yeah, I had to get surgery, so that was not fun. I was terrified. I really didn't want to go under anesthesia. They didn't put me under anesthesia, but instead they put like this numbing gel. It had like, woo! It felt fun and weird. It was a weird feeling, for sure. But they were gonna put staples in my head, and I was like, what? No stitches? Yeah. So they put four staples in my head with this medical staple gun thing. Um, I remember watching Gravity Falls when I was like waiting or like right after it happened. Yeah. Anyways, Gravity Falls is amazing, but that was kind of it. And then I was released. It hurt to smile or do any sort of facial expressions because nervous system and everything is connected and stuff, which kind of made me sad because I couldn't like enjoy myself and have fun to forget the physical pain that I was in. It was a Friday, so I didn't have to like take sick day the next day. Personally, I was like a very studious kid and like I hated skipping school because it's just FOMO and like, oh, I don't want to catch up. Yeah, I was that kid. I still kind of am. I just like being on top of my shit, to be honest. Um, Mostly because just like if I'm not doing well, I'm doing bad, like that kind of thing. But yeah, so I was chilling when I got back from the hospital at my house. It was also April Fool's, by the way, which is relevant because my dad was like, call your grandma and like tell her what happened. So I called my grandma, being like, hey, I kind of like hurt myself at school. I went to the ER, and then and my grandma was like, oh. And I was like, oh, I'm just kidding, April Fools, haha. And she was like, "Oh, you scared me," and my dad like looked over, and he's like, so he came over, and he was like, "Yeah, that's he's actually telling it's not April Fools. It actually happened." I was like, hmm. Um, the next 3 weeks, right, I had the staples in my head were all right, I guess. I had like a few mishaps like here and there. For one, I was picking at my scab for like throughout the few weeks once it's scabbed up, which don't do that, especially if it's like a big cut. Like it was, I can't show you because it's pretty much like non-existent. It's just a bump, and like you wouldn't notice or know if you felt it. But I was like, there was like, hey, it was disgusting. I was like picking in my class and like putting the scabbage on the floor. No one noticed. I was a disgusting kid, honestly. And then when I went to get my staples pulled out, the doctor missed like one of the staples. Like he just didn't, he forgot to pull out one of them because like skin was already growing over, and I guess he just missed it. So I like had to go in a few days later because I noticed that there was still something in there. I don't even know who, if it was me or my mom that like noticed or realized, but it had to have been me. But like after coming back to school, when I got one of them pulled out, my one friend was like, "There's a hole in your head," and it he made a big fuss about it. Like my classmates were like, "Oh my God, that's crazy! Whoa, what happened?" And my teacher had to like quell everyone and like comfort me because that definitely made me like very uncomfortable. And it was only noticeable because my hair was like kind of like a reddish orange because I think the doctor put like an iodine. He put in like an iodine mixture, enunciation, and it was like kind of, and it like made my hair a bit darker around the wounded area, which made it more obvious. And thankfully, the whole incident didn't give me major PTSD, but I could confidently say I was a changed person after that experience. Childhood trauma. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be a longer video, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button. But no, let me know if you also enjoyed this story time. I don't have many story times, so either I'm gonna have to like start making stuff up or like start, digging up my more trauma. But yeah, goodbye.